Hello, it's John Heaton, and today I'm going to talk about coloured vinyl, and I'm going to mainly hark back to the olden days when you used to pick up coloured vinyl and it wasn't a complete merchant marketing thing, and it wasn't a rip-off. Thinking particularly in the late 70s where a lot of the coloured vinyl started coming out, and picture discs and stuff like that. These days they're kind of 10 a penny, well, pun not intended, because they're a lot more expensive than that, but they're very common. And I suppose the climax of all that, from a Beatles fan point of view, was the McCartney 3 release, where they came out with about, I don't know how many it was, 12 different coloured vinyl editions, and fans lapped it up. I didn't, I just bought one copy of the album. It's enough for me, but it just got a bit ridiculous in Paul's desire to get to number one with that album. He just released all these variants, and sure enough, the fans bought them all and he got to number one. But I thought it rang a bit false. And I was excited the other day, initially, when the news was announced that the first 4 Ringo albums were being released on coloured vinyl. The Sentimental Journey album on a very nice, I forget what the word was, sort of kind of light yellow. Bo Coops of Blues on what's called baby blue, very light blue vinyl. And then the Ringo album on some kind of dark red, I think it was called Volcanic Red, very nice looking. And then Goodnight Vienna was some kind of psychedelic colour. And they were very tempting, and I looked at the price, and $30 is not that bad, but they were only available in the US. So if I wanted to ship them to Hungary or the UK, you'd have to pay the $30 plus, which in itself is okay, but then you'd have to pay shipping and taxes on top of that. So it just became prohibitive. So I'm hoping Ringo and his team will release those albums elsewhere in the world. But anyway, I tried to not get too carried away with coloured vinyl, because I think one can get a little bit addicted to it, and it's not very healthy, because it's in general one doesn't buy them to play because they have inferior sound quality compared to the black vinyl. So they're just kind of aesthetic, nice things to have and to look at. But I wouldn't be without the ones that I have. But the ones I'm going to show you in today's video are the ones I picked up back in the day, before all the new vinyl came in. So when old vinyl was still being sold in large quantities. And I picked this album up in the early 80s in Caterpillar Records in Exeter. But it's Dave Mason's first solo album, Alone Together. And I'm not sure if this came out at the time, or I'm pretty sure it did. I mean, it's not only does it have this cool fold-out cover, but I think it was one of the early examples, correct me if I'm wrong if anyone knows, one of the earliest examples of a kind of coloured vinyl disc. If this indeed was a 1970 pressing, it could have been later in the 70s, I'm not sure, so someone correct me if they know the definitive answer to that. But I thought it was interesting, and it is a great album. From Dave Mason there. Only You Know and I Know, Sad and Deep as You is on there, among others. And then Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. And I originally thought this was an original 1973 yellow vinyl, but I tend to think, because I bought it in the late 70s, I'm tending to think it was a later edition. But it's very nice to have, because it's on beautiful yellow vinyl. And even the label in the middle, it's not the black label we're accustomed to seeing. It's been coloured yellow to go with the yellow vinyl. So I thought that was very nice. And the second disc is identical. So I'm not altogether sure of the exact date of that release, but I've had that since the late 70s, as I say. Now I picked this up in Reckless Records in Berwick Street. German Sgt. Pepper, and it says 70s, so I'm guessing it was part of that late 70s craze for picture discs and coloured vinyl. And it's both Sgt. Pepper front cover on the back and the front, rather disappointingly in a way. They could have done something different on the back. But as I say, this is not a playing copy for me, this is just nice to have. And Sgt. Pepper was such an iconic album cover, very nice to have that on picture disc. In fact, I had that on the wall for a few months quite recently. Now this is beautiful, obviously. This is the Red album 62 to 66, and with the hype sticker. If you're looking for a copy of this secondhand, try and make sure you get the hype sticker, because not all of them do come with it, but I think it's certainly worth more with the hype sticker, and it's nicer to have the hype sticker. But the red vinyl is just beautiful, and I think the Apple label goes very well with any kind of coloured vinyl. And I'm thinking the George Camp, All Things Must Pass, I don't really want to pay 150 quid for it, but if you came up with an orange vinyl of All Things Must Pass, I would be severely tempted. But I must say those Ringo albums, the Sentimental Journey and Both Coops of Blues with the apple in the centre, looked absolutely beautiful. But as I say, too expensive. And this is the Blue album without the hype sticker, so disappointingly, and it was accordingly a bit cheaper when I bought it. But again, lovely to have the blue apple, and as you can see, the background for the Apple label has been coloured blue to go with the blue vinyl. And as I say, these coloured vinyls are not playing copies, but they're just very nice to have. Now we move on to a Paul McCartney and Wings Band on the Run coloured vinyl. It's a US pressing, and this was sealed when I bought it, but I couldn't resist opening it because I had this on the wall as well. And it's unique because it's got the B side, the back side of the record here and the front side here. And you can tell it's a US pressing because Denny's in the middle there, as opposed to Linda. And yeah, how much did I pay for this? $40 sealed. So I guess now it's unsealed, it's worth less. But as I say, I had it on the wall. So that's very nice to have. Late 70s, I think I would date that as. Now this I picked up cheap because it wasn't in very good condition. But again, this is late 70s, I think. Picture disc of a single man, Elton John, the first Elton John album I got into, and this is nice because it's the front cover and the back cover. And again, I had this on the wall recently before I repainted the house. I had a lot of vinyl picture discs on the wall. Now this is beautiful. This is Parallel Lines from Blondie, and this is the picture disc of that, and that's the A side, and that's the band on the B side. Now this was in terrible condition. That Elton John album I picked up at Record and Tape Exchange downstairs in Notting Hill Gate, and this one I picked up in East End of London in a second-hand record shop somewhere near the city, and it was cheap because you can see the cover's in terrible condition. I think I only paid £6 for that. And now this is the jewel in the crown, if you like. Picked this up recently in Frome in Somerset, Raves from the Graves, one of my favourite record shops, and I've been looking for this for about, not exaggerating, at least 45 years. The White album on white vinyl. And my friend Dave just came up to me, we were looking around the shop, and he goes, "They got the White album on white vinyl downstairs," and I thought he was joking. And he turned out to be serious, and they were charging 100 quid. I got him down to 80, and he said, "I wouldn't like to sell it for less than 80. So I paid 80, I think it's worth the money. It's 1985 German pressing. It's got the poster, it's got all the inserts. And I think you'll agree, it looks absolutely beautiful. It's in very good condition. Sides 1 and 2. And I can't resist showing you sides 3 and 4. Absolute treasure. I think out of all the records in my collection, this is probably my most treasured, and it's probably the one I paid, well, yeah, I think I paid the most money for this, although there's a couple of others that come close, like Joey Molland, After the Pearl. I paid a lot of money for that in New York, I seem to remember. Anyway, that was coloured vinyl, and back in the day they were a lot more affordable, although I did pay a lot of money for that Beatles album on white vinyl, but I think when it came out in the late 70s it wasn't too expensive. Nowadays, if you want coloured vinyl, they've overdone it a bit, in my opinion, but horses for courses, if you want to go out and buy all the variations, you're welcome, but I'd rather save my money and get some of the original coloured vinyl. I did have a copy of City to City to show you from Jerry Rafferty on blue vinyl, but I think I've left it in the other room. that was nice. But yeah, I've left that in the other room, unfortunately, I think. Yeah, sorry about that. So that was, I picked that up, Swedish blue vinyl actually. Picked that up, not too expensive. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.